we've actually got some of the very important performers and artists who have played a major role in the revolution and before the revolution. And this is quite characteristic because none of them have started working after the revolution. They've already been working and performing before that. But because the word revolution brings to mind the streets and the improvised collective performances that were done on the streets and in the squares, so maybe the talks will be giving some answers to questions like, for example, how the performer and the artist came to perceive himself, herself after the revolution. Has there been any change? Have they been affected by the collective performance that was taking place on the streets, and how maybe they come to see their work differently, their mission differently? We've got Ahmed Haddad. Ahmed is a poet, a very talented poet, who has been publishing and giving performances of poetry since before the revolution. And then after the revolution, his songs have become much more popular because they were sung on the square, in Tahrir Square. And I was with Ahmed visiting Gaza back in May, and all the Palestinians in Gaza knew very, very well the songs of Eskenderella and of Ahmed Haddad, and they asked for specific songs to be sung there. Dr. Abeer Abdel-Hafez is an academic. A very active member in the 9th of March group for the independence of Egyptian universities, quite an activist, a very strong woman, and she's engaged in a project where they use slogans of the revolution for Yursi. And she's going to tell us more about this project. To my left, Dr. Dalia, a very PhD in drama and quite a gifted director who has been working her way through both in the States and here to voice out who she is in her art. We are friends. She's a graduate of this department, and we've worked together back in the late 1990s in the Women of Memory project, where the two of us co-authored stories that were just the opposite of Shahrazad. We created our own Iranian Nights then. And Salam Yursi. I'm sure many of the young people here in this room and of other generations know Salam as the founder of the Quran project, the Choir project, and he'll be talking more about it, but this is a project where I think there is a democratization of art, because it's a singing project where everybody can sing, where everybody can write their songs, and they have done wonderful work in the last couple of years. And Mohamed Khaled, represents Elmougy, a very ambitious project where artists are occupying the streets. And the idea was born just immediately after 11th of February, where hundreds of Egyptian artists and theater groups and different kinds of performers came together. They created the Coalition of Independent Arts, and they decided that they're going to do they're going to create a huge performance space in many of the squares, not just in Cairo. That was one of the characteristics of Elmougy. but in other governorates as well, because we've always been suffering from the marginalization of all cities outside Cairo. So the Fan-e-Medan field art has been working. They are now, in last April, they were 1 year old, but the echo of their work and how Fan-e-Medan offered ordinary Egyptians who couldn't afford to go to the theater houses and listen to music, it offered them this space to be on the streets and to be part of drawing activities and songs and music and everything. So it's a very ambitious project done by the independent artists in Egypt. We'll be starting with Ahmed Haddad. The talks that will be given in Arabic, as I said, I'll be giving a short English synopsis on it. And of course, there is time at the end for questions.
أنا هتكلم بشكل عام عن تجربتي الخاصة يعني أشعار الوقت الثورة. بشكل خاص الموضوع بدأ معايا طبعا من قبل 25 يناير، بس طبعا زي فنانين كتير كان الموضوع يعني احنا بنعمل حاجات ليها علاقة بالثورة، ليها علاقة بمجد ثوري ما، واحنا مش عارفين الموضوع رايح لفين. فالموضوع كان فيه غضب لكن مخلوط بيأس، مخلوط بإحباط. وهو بدأ من أول لما بدأت يعني اسكندريلا تغني الأغاني بتاعتي، مرورا من بشويش حبة حبة عشان نفهم بيحصل إيه سنة 2007 لغاية عيني في عينك يعني أنت مصدقة سنة 2010. دي كانت آخر حاجة اتكتبت قبل الثورة، وكان في طول ال3 سنين دول أغاني فيها غضب، فيها يعني زي ما بنقول كده حاجات ضد التيار السائد. القرار اللي انا خدته اواخر 2010 كان قرار هروب يعني ان انا عايز ابعد عن اي حاجه ليها علاقه بالسياسه. كان ناتج عن يأس طبعا. وانا خدت القرار ده قلت ده هيبقى من القرارات بتاعه راس السنه. في يوم راس السنه حصلت انفجار كنيسة القديسين، وكانت أول مرة في حياتي إن يحصل الحدث وأنا أكتب عليه بعدها بيوم. يعني كانت في ظرف يوم كانت القصيدة اللي هي منتاش أخويا يا شهيد أنت أنا اللي مت بصلي في بداية سنة، وفي الجراح المؤلمة منتاش لوحدك، دي مظلمة وحزينة حياتنا كلنا. كانت اتكتبت وكان في ظرف أسبوع حازم شاهين ملحنها، ورحنا قدمناها لأول مرة على المسرح يوم استقلال تونس، وده كان طبعا بالصدفة، كل دي حاجات مصادفات. يوم 14 يناير. من 14 يناير لغاية 25 يناير أنا رجعت تاني لحالة مش اليأس ولا الهروب، بس كان عندي حالتين. حالة إن هو أنا عمالين نتابع أخبار تونس وعمالين نقول طب إحنا بقى، وحالة تانية اللي هو عايز ارجع تاني اللي هو ابعد شويه عن السياسه، ابعد عن كانت حاله لخبطه لغايه لما حصلت الثوره يوم 25 يناير. وطبعا انا بالنسبه لي الثوره يعني نزلت يوم 28 نزلته، كان يعني ده كان لوحده يعني هو قصايد بمثابه قصايد شعر، بمثابه كل اللي انا كتبته في حياتي. فكرة إن المصريين كلهم اتجمعوا ولقوا بعض من غير لا إنترنت ولا تليفونات ولا أي حاجة، وكان في روح كده الناس كلها رايحة لحاجة جميلة مع بعض. يعني أنا فاكر كان في وإحنا ماشيين كانوا ناس أنا عارف وشوشهم فنانين أو نشطاء سياسيين أو كده، فأنا لقيت واحدة ست بتبيع عيش. ففي واحد من الناس الثوار بيقول لها يعني حاسبي يا حاجة عشان في غاز هيترمي وكده، مش عاوز تيجي معانا؟ فقلت له اه والله يا ابني هاجي معاك. لقينا بقى المسيره دي بقى مليانه بقى، يعني عامله زي اللوحه التشكيليه كده اللي فيه الوان كده اتبدرت وطلع منها حياه. الناس بقى اللي هم كل طبعا الحاجات مرورا بقى من بدايه اليوم لغايه الشهداء اللي سقطوا، لغايه التحول الغريب اللي هو طبعا المسلسل اللي احنا تابعناه يعني من الداخليه والبلطجيه. انا في الحاله دي بقى ما كنتش بكتب اي حاجه من لغايه لما رحت الميدان يوم الحد اللي هو 30 يناير. كان في صلاه على الشهداء بس ما كانتش نعوش بجد، كانت حاجات تذكاريه. فانا يوميها اول مره احس ان انا يعني في زي انفجار. قررت ان انا كل مره اروح فيها الميدان اقول فيها حاجه جديده. وقلت هناك شعر، قلت قصيده الميدان، قصيده شهيد، قصيده سباعيات الثوره، لغايه لما عملت بقى بعد التنحي كام يوم صفحه جديده، يا بكره صفحه جديده في كل مصر جمله مفيده. وبعدين عملت حكايه الثوره. الفكره بقى هي ان احنا بقينا يعني الاول كنت الحدث بيحصل وبنكتب عليه وكل الحاجات الجميله دي، بس بعد كده حصل ان احنا رجعنا تاني شويه نبقى يعني زي ضد التيار، ان احنا بنتكلم على الثوره، بنتكلم على الشهداء، بنتكلم على كل الحاجات دي. وفي ناس تانية بتتكلم يعني بتمد بقوه وبدعم على اغاني فيها انتصار وفيها احنا خلصنا الثوره يا جماعه، احنا خلاص كل حاجه تمام. فانا لا، انا لما قلت ما بقتش الحريه بعيده في نهايه الصفحه دي، ده مش معناها ان احنا خلاص وصلنا لكل حاجه، لا يعني احنا وصلنا ان احنا نزلنا من بيتنا وان احنا قلنا لا، لكن ما عملناش يعني ما حققناش اللي احنا عايزينه كله. يعني ده كل اللي انا ابتديت يعني اكمل فيه من 11 فبراير لغايه يومنا هذا، حاجات بتقول ان الثوره مستمره، ان الشهيد حاجه كبيره، ان احنا لازم نبقى يعني. طبعا حصلت نوع الشعر، حتى نوع اللي اتكتب في ال 18 يوم مختلف طبعا عن اللي كتب في فلسطين، وعن اللي كتب في وقت الكمين اللي اتعمل لاهالي الشهداء في يونيو، عن محمد محمود اللي احنا في الايام بتاعته دلوقتي، عن ايام الشيخ امام، عن ايام الالتراس. لان في حاجه حصلت، ان احنا كان في حاله زي ما نقول يوتوبيا او حاله سلام نفسي داخلي كده عند كل الناس في 18 يوم. لكن بعد كده حصل خيانه، حصل يعني خيانه لاهالي الشهداء، خيانه لحق الشهداء. فكل شويه احنا الواجبات بتاعتنا والطريقه واللغه بتاعتنا بتتغير مع تغير الحدث يعني. فطبعا انا اللي غيرني يعني لما ببص لنفسي من سنتين، انا كنت بكتب حاجات والناس هي اللي تقول لي ده على فكره دي فيها كذا، دي فيها غضب، فيها مش عارف ايه، وانت ليك ناس مؤمنه بيك، بس يعني على فكره هتلاقيهم في وقت من الاوقات. هو باختصار كل الرغي اللي انا بقوله ده هو ان الناس اللي هم قعدوا يعرفوني بيهم وقعدوا يقولوا لي ان هم دول موجودين، انا شفتهم كلهم في الميدان وحسيت بيهم وعارف انهم موجودين على الارض في الجنه.
Thank you very much, Ahmed Haddad. Ahmed has given us a personal testimony as a poet and as an Egyptian who has been on the streets during the revolution. He started by saying that he gave poetry performances and poetry readings starting in 2007. And maybe even before that, is it before 2007? With Eskenderella group, they started singing his songs in 2007, and then he describes this period as he had to write, he wanted to write, he was writing poems where anger and despair were there, ambivalent feelings, and he took a decision on New Year's Eve of 2010 not to engage with the political, out of this sense of despair. And on that night, as we all know, the bombing of the Alexandria church took place. And all those Egyptians praying in their own church in Alexandria, many have been killed. No investigation till now, and no one taking responsibility for that. But anyways, the very night he has taken a decision not to engage with political. The bombing took place, so he wrote a poem, which was performed, ironically enough, on the 14th of January, the day the Egyptians were celebrating the victory of the Tunisians in ousting the president. Between the 14th of January and the 25th, he was sort of falling again in this trap of contradictions, falling again into this conflict. He was looking forward and looking at the Tunisians and feeling that, how about us? Can this happen? With a desire to go back to engage. And then at the same time, his anger is pulling him back and the despair is pulling him back. On the 28th of January, he was one of the people on the streets, and he has given a beautiful poetic description of the 28th of January, which I cannot translate, because he briefly said that it was a most amazing poem. He did not write then. He was taken into what's happening, and then on the 30th of January, there was a symbolic funeral of the martyrs of the revolution taking place on the square. And there, he started reading his poems among the people, among the revolutionaries. He then gave a very interesting account of the times after the revolution, describing the 18 days as one phase, where the voice of the poet was one with the voice of what's happening and the voice of the people. And then, with all the many and successive betrayals of the revolution, Eskenderella and Ahmed's poetry started to become again an act of resistance once more. It was again pushed to fight the mainstream, because the mainstream was taking over. And between the moment, the many moments, but there was the moment, the iconic moment of the 18 days, and then the many disillusionments that followed, and the poetry kept pace with what's happening. The poems of the revolution were more looking forward so much to a new tomorrow, and the poems that happened to be written during 2011 and 12 were sort of reflective of the disappointment, the disillusion, and the resistance to what's happening, and the clinging on to what the revolution is all about. Thank you, Ahmed Haddad.